Hey everybody, it's Dick here. I'm just dropping in to do a quick video about the new Department of Environmental, Food and Rural Affairs survey that's been posted looking for consultation on whether or not motorcycles and other motor vehicles should be banned on green lanes and boats, byways in the UK for the future. There is a response to a government report called the Landscapes Review, and the Landscapes Review has raised some questions about the use of rural roads and that the damage of rural roads by motorcycles and motor vehicles cannot be justified economically or through public policy. I'm a bit concerned about that, as I often say that the UK is one of the best places to ride, and we always kind of look off shores for adventures, and if you go north or west, or even somewhere in the south in the UK, you can find some world-class riding and world-class off-roading. And I think that motorcyclists often get a bad rap for the uses of these green lanes and byways. And most of the times when I'm on the green lanes or the byways, I'm the only one out there. And when I do run into the odd dog walker or hiker or horseback rider, we're all very appreciative and respectful of each other. And there's only a few instances where I've run into angry hikers, or actually I've never run into an angry horse rider because I've always been respectful with my engine and engine noise. I think it's clear in the past several years that the UK government does not want personal transport. And it looks for every legislative and legal loophole to find ways of limiting public and personal personal transport, individual personalized transport. And they look for these ways through kind of innocuous little surveys or consultations, and then by the time it gets to us, the general public, knowing about it, we are throwing up our hands and wondering where our rights went. There is a survey in the link of this video that I encourage you to read. Now, the way government surveys, if you haven't looked at them before, the way government surveys work is that they will build up a lot of, I don't want to say misguided or misleading language, but you'll be convinced by their language that what the intended law is, what the proposed law, I should say, is trying to limit or fix is reasonable. And as intelligent, reasonable people, we read these surveys and go, yes, I agree with all of those things. And then we end up giving away our rights because we agree with the convincing language. I encourage you, and also they build in lots of questions and topics that are not relevant to the people who are filling out the consultation so that we can get confused or bored with the process. So what I suggest we do is we're patient, we go through the survey, and we look specifically at questions 14 through 17, which will be specific to the motorcycling and motor vehicles on byways and green lanes. And we answer questions we look into the questions and we criticize or ask critical questions of ourselves when answering the questions so that we can protect our motorcycling and motor vehicle rights on byways. Again, 14 through 17 of the questions, if there's something that's not relevant to you in a survey, on a government consultation, then simply put N/A or not relevant, or if there's an opportunity not to answer the question, just skip the question. But most of the time, it's the things that are relevant to motorcyclists, the things that are relevant to individual personal transport are buried in these. And one of the best examples is the latest consultation that was about non-tampering on motor vehicles. I think it was a national proposed law, national legislation, but the anti-tampering law. And the anti-tampering law for motor vehicles, that consultation is closed. But when I was doing that survey, I noticed that you are convinced that we don't want people messing with software for self-drive vehicles. We don't want people messing with things that manufacturers built in for safety reasons. But if we read closer to the legislation, we closer to the language, we see that we're not able to change our exhaust systems. We're not able to change our indicators. We're not able to do anything other than manufacture recommended parts and manufactured recommended service stations, which puts a whole number of small business and aftermarket businesses in the shitter. Excuse my language. So in this consultation, the right of using green lanes, the right of using byways and using rural roads should be protected. And it should be a mixed use protection. I'm not looking to make it an exclusive motor vehicle protection. I have walked or hiked, I refer to as hiking in the UK, they call it walking. I've walked thousands of miles, and that's not an exaggeration. I've walked thousands of miles, I've hiked thousands of miles around this great earth, and I've cycled thousands of miles around this great earth, and I have motorcycled tens of thousands of miles around this great earth. And every instance and every situation that I've been involved with where I've run into someone in mixed use situations has always been respectful, except for the odd person who's trying to put barbed wire or some sort of dangerous booby traps on rural roads because they don't like the mixed use of these rural roads. So I encourage you to look at that survey. I encourage you to think critically about the legislations that are being proposed. You'll notice, again, a theme in the UK for legislation that is limiting personal transport while cutting, I'm looking for the right words, while cutting funding for public transport. Now, if we're limiting personal transport and we're cutting funding for public transport, it's clear that our government in the UK does not want movement for our citizens or freedom of movement. They want us all to stay in one place. And if the lockdown has proven anything over the past 2 years, it's clear that they want the freedom of movement for certain people, and they want the rest of us to sit home in place. This is an opportunity for us to have our voices heard, to think critically about the legislation, think critically about the people we vote to make this legislation, and protect our rights. If there's any questions, go ahead and send some comments through the videos. I'll try and funnel you in the right direction to be better informed, but please look at the survey, questions 14 through 17, and let's all protect our use of the great outdoors. Signing off.